what else to bring us back on our 11th anniversary than the last time Ferrari experienced such joy? Welcome back to Motorsport 101. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 626 of Motorsport 101. I'm your friendly neighborhood host, Dre Harrison. Glad you could join us. And, well, as you may have noticed, there wasn't actually anything major in motorsport in terms of a race weekend this past week. It's the last completely free weekend we have, I think, between now and the end of the year, across our three major series that we cover. So we felt to fill the gap, and given a couple of weeks ago we celebrated the 11th anniversary of our very first episode. Yes, the 2014 Russian Grand Prix was our first ever episode of M101. Mm-hmm. That feels like it was an age ago. We thought we'd do another watch-along. These are a lot of fun. We do really enjoy them.
Yeah.
And, on this occasion, we decided to choose the 2015 Formula One Malaysian Grand Prix. It's a significant race for many reasons, which we'll get into later. But, of course, I've got to introduce my co-host first for this occasion as well, because Karen Buckley is busy collecting a giant television. No, seriously, that's the reason. So it's just me and RJ O'Connell this week. Hello, RJ. How's it going, mate?
Hi, it's going good. Yeah, so we thought we're coming up to the 10th anniversary of two significant Malaysian Grand Prix in World Championship Motorsport, but then we decided the two-wheeled one's been done to death, and also nothing happens after you know what.
Yeah.
So we just figured that what about the four-wheeled one? And the reason why I thought about the four-wheeled one is that for the longest time, in the back of the early days of the podcast, the outcome of the 2015 Malaysian Formula One Grand Prix is one of the first things you heard on the podcast.
It really was. That was only, I think, I want to say something like our 7th or 8th Formula One race we'd ever covered on the show properly. It was after we decided that we were actually going to keep this going beyond the 10-episode university mandatory limit that we decided to have. And Malaysia, I want to say, was the second round of 2015. So, yeah, this was quite a milestone event for us in many ways, shapes, and forms. And now we're a little bit older and, well, I'd argue maybe not quite so much wiser, but here we are. We thought we'd go back and experience, because as RJ alluded to as well, the MotoGP version of this, 2/3 of the race can only be described as basically filler. There's a bit of reaction to the main incident in question, but honestly, nothing happens, really, after Marc Marquez is gently escorted off the premises. So we felt like this would be a more entertaining watch to go through here. So if you want to watch along with us, you can. We'll tell you how in just a minute, but we'll very quickly get the general housekeeping out of the way. You can find us on youtube.com/motorsport101, or you can follow your Facebook, motorsport.com. Facebook.com/motorsport101. I've got a tongue twister there. We're on Twitter at motorsport_101. We're on Instagram at motorsport101pod. Well, we're on TikTok at m101_podcast. And if you want to follow us personally, you can at dreharrison.bsky.social and RJ O'Connell at bsky.social. Also, our website, motorsport101.com, is around. If you want to follow all of our content on there, you can. And if you really like us, you can back us financially on Patreon. $5 gets you early access to all of our content. You can upgrade to the $10 tier, because going forward, all future watch-alongs will also be available to you, the audience, as well, who can text along with us as we watch, which a lot of us on our Discord server is doing right now. Another part of the access coming up. Because, well, we got a whole bunch. We got Vic, we got Ghost Raptor, Jason, Ed, Steven's in here. I mean, God, we let a Tottenham fan in here. That's a bad idea. We let Kira in here, as well as Sock as well. Thanks, everybody, for coming in. Hope you guys enjoy the show. We'll try and get some of your comments in there as well. Thank you, as always, for your continued support.
Right.
Now, if you want to watch along with us, we are going to be watching along on the F1 TV version of this. For you North Americans, it's going to be around for about another 6 weeks, roughly.
Yeah, before it gets integrated in Apple TV Plus, and Cam's not here, so we can talk about it.
We can. Yes, that wonderful new service. It's accessible to less people. I think it's a great idea. I've been waiting weeks to say that publicly. But if you want to watch along right now, you can on the F1 TV app worldwide. We're watching that version of the race. It's the world feed, so Crofty and Brundle, as you probably know by now. It's how long, RJ? 2 hours and change, 2:16:59,
Right.
I want to say.
It is 2:16:59, so rounded up 2 hours, 17 minutes. Lewis Hamilton, your reigning world champion, has qualified on the pole position for the second round of the 19 race 2015 Formula One World Championship, a year that also includes Sebastian Vettel, now at Ferrari, Daniel Ricciardo, now the lead driver at Red Bull Racing. Manor is here. Still, somehow. McLaren is Honda is here. I imagine we're not going to be talking about them much.
No.
And also a 17-year-old Dutchman by the name of Max Verstappen has just entered the party.
Wonder what happened to him. Anyway, so we're about to hit the play button on this, so you can sync this up when RJ hits the play button on his stream, and then we will go live. We're going to obviously talk about previewing the race itself, observations, all that good stuff over the next, I'd say, roughly 2 hours. I don't think we agree we don't need the press conferences, but we'll go as far as the podium interviews roughly, and then we'll call it a day from there. Okay, RJ, the floor is yours, buddy.
All right. Well, I was going to ask Dre, do you want to count us down?
With pleasure. So we were going to hit play to those guys in the chat and watching along at home in 3, 2, 1. Hit it. Yep, audio's good. The old light trailing intro. I miss those days.
I love this intro, by the way.
I do too. It's great. Can anyone catch Lewis Hamilton as the first thing that opens us up? As you do. It's a light trail rather than a light box, which I think is quite funny.
Yeah, this is one of the last Formula One's Grand Prix at now Petronas Sepang International Circuit.
It's a shame. I do miss this place. It's a great track. It really is. It's one of the best, in my opinion, all-round Tilkodromes of the era. Does everything well.
It really set the standard for a lot of tracks. I understand why at the time people thought that this was not the way that race car circuit design should be going, but at the end of the day, this still stands the test of time. There's a reason why, even though it would be a great financial burden on Malaysian Motorsport for them to host this event, people still want it back.
I still want it back. I'd love us to go back to Malaysia. Good motorsport loving country as well.
I thought we weren't going to be talking about these guys much, but here they are, front and center, McLaren, Honda. Fernando Alonso is just back.
Welcome back, Fernando. They just kicked Kevin Magnussen to the curb after just, 1 year?
Yep.
He was one and done at McLaren after being fired on his birthday, as he says in his book. Not really his fault. It was just, listen, when 2015 Fernando Alonso is available, you sign 2015 Fernando Alonso.
All right, so we're getting the starting grid. Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel on the front row, which has got to feel really good for Ferrari because the less said about 2014, the better.
Yeah, we've got Rosberg and Hamilton on row 2. Danil Kvyat and Max Verstappen. 17-year-old Max Verstappen on row 3. Wonder what happened to him. Felipe Massa and Valtteri Bottas in the Williams take up row 4 ahead of Marcus Ericsson, future Indy 500 winner, and Romain Grosjean starting in 10th. Kimi Raikkonen and late-stage Pastor Maldonado is still here on row 6 ahead of the Force Indias. We have Hulkenberg and Perez there, very young looking, I must say. Carlos Sainz, the other Red Bull Jr., ahead of Felipe Nasr on row 8. Jenson Button and Fernando Alonso for McLaren Honda on row 9.
Yuck.
Well,
and only Roberto Merri on the 10th row by himself Will Stevens has not made it to the grid. He did not go out in qualifying in the other manner. And just a small spoiler, Will Stevens will not start this Malaysian Grand Prix, which means it's just Roberto Merhi taking up the mantle for the smallest team in Formula One, which only has, incredibly, another year after this.
Graham Loudon did a very admirable job trying to keep that team alive. Basically, they were living hand to mouth, essentially, for, the last year and change of its run. Rebrands, rebuilds, and hell, they had some quality drivers pass through their doors by the time they were gone. Pascal Wehrlein and Esteban Ocon both drove in this team, and many argue Wehrlein should still be on this grid, really.
Yeah.
He really didn't do much wrong when he was in F1, but decides not have money, which, well,
but don't worry, he's going to have plenty of it at his next job at running Cadillac. Daniel Kvyat, very interesting story. Many people thought he was the surprise, maybe the wrong choice to go to Toro Rosso in 2015, and now, after just 1 year, he's got to directly replace Sebastian Vettel at Red Bull, a team that had won 4 consecutive World Constructors and Drivers' Championships, and a team that is also going through some weirdness with their power unit supplier, Renault.
Yes. Many argued that Red Bull probably took a bit too much of an aggressive approach to continuing to win in 2013, the final year of the V8, and didn't dedicate enough time to getting their hybrids right, and they pretty much paid the price because their dominant status had gone in 2014. Mercedes won, I want to say, something like all but 3 of those races last year, one of the most dominant seasons ever seen.
Yeah.
And, well, signs were still there about that going into this one as well after Mercedes dominated the opener in Australia. So, yeah. Jason in our chat's asking us, which year did the personalised numbers start? I believe they started the previous year.
That's right.
2014. Started 2014, so every driver was allowed to choose their own personal number. You also had the option of taking the number 1, but it was reserved for the champion. Hamilton elected not to do so. Well, Seb didn't want to do it. Well, Seb did take it. The first year in 2014, he took the number 1 plate. But once Hamilton won the title, he decided to keep his old karting number of 44.
Only 2 drivers, Button and Alonso, starting on the orange sidewall hard tires.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk going in. Malaysia's always had a reputation of being a bit of a tyre shredder. We run it generally when it's quite hot. A lot of medium to high speed corners here, so not great on tyres. So rumours are it was going to be something potentially 2 to 3 stops for the race itself. Remember that. It becomes important later.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't this also, not just Alonso coming back to McLaren this year after doing everything to get run out of town and obliterate that bridge out of orbit into 2007, but didn't he also have that undisclosed testing injury in 2015, and that's why I had to miss Australia, and that's why Kevin Magnussen came back for 1 round only?
Yeah, that was weird. Allegedly, Fernando took a concussion when he had that testing crash, but I don't think it was ever publicly revealed exactly what happened. I think that some people could spy at the time that he had some kind of electric shock off the hybrid, which was just wild. Some of the shit people were coming out with going off the back of that incident.
Yeah. As for why the hards were orange, well, I don't think we hadn't standardized, we only had standardized for the individual tire compounds, but It wasn't like we shifted, between 5 compounds and picked 3 of them to be the soft, the medium, and the hard.
Exactly. That wouldn't be for another few years. I think it was 2017, 2018, we had the ultra soft, hyper soft, super soft, medium hard, super hard 7-tire Pirelli range, which made for great
We never used the super hards.
We never did.
That's the funniest thing.
We never had the super hards. We never used it. I think we only ever used the hard blue tire once, and I think it was at Silverstone that year when Williams briefly led.
Oh,
Um,
golly. It's Maurizio Arrivabene in his first full season running Scuderia Ferrari because, man, the turnover after Jean Todt had left has really been tough.
I think it was their third of, I want to say, 5 team principals they had across 10 years at
That's
Ferrari.
right, because they had Stefano Domenicali, and then they had Marco Mattiacci. Remember him? No, you don't.
Sad to see, but also, it brings a small smile to see Charlie Whiting as race director briefly as we get ready for this start. We miss you, Charlie. Lights coming
3
on
lights,
now.
2 lights, 1 lights, and the Malaysian Grand Prix is underway.
56 laps of fun at Sepang. Pretty box standard start for everybody. Hamilton gets away really well. Sebastian Vettel's under immediate pressure for second by Nico Rosberg, but it's going to be Hamilton, Vettel, Rosberg up to third ahead of the Red Bulls as we head through turns 1 and 2. Kvyat and Ricciardo side by side. Williams have taken a bit of a tumble. One of them has.
Valtteri,
but Felipe Massa, I want to say they're running 5th.
25th. I mean, 2014 was the resurgence. This is the year where you think Williams is back, and how about Marcus Ericsson mixing it up? I don't know if that was well advised, but oh, by the way, Sauber has been on an unexpected heater to start 2015, which is an incredible outcome after the having 4 drivers under contract for 2 seats debacle.
We can thank the big Banco do Brazil sponsorship on the side of the car, and Felipe Nasser, I want to say 5th on debut in Australia.
5th on debut. I always knew that dude had the talent.
And now, fast forwarding, one of the best sports car drivers on the planet today.
But right now, he's just trying to find his feet in Formula One and trying to stay ahead of Kimi Räikkönen, who had a really tough 2014.
Also, but Maldona's got a puncher on the opening lap. Get your jokes in now. And also,
brother, as one of like the 5 Pastor Maldonado fans that don't live in the country of Venezuela at this time, it is tough since
also,
he moved to Lotus.
Shout out to Nico Hulkenberg as well. I want to say up 5 spots off that opening lap. He's now running P7. Knew that boy was nice.
That was a really good generation of Force India with Hulkenberg and Perez.
Indeed it was. Hamilton leads as we cross the line to start lap 2. Just a 0.7 of a second lead on Sebastian Vettel. And Nico Rosberg, just another 9 tenths back in third. They're already pulling away from Daniel Ricciardo. Felipe Massa now 5th ahead of Kvyat. Hulkenberg having a huge time. Ericsson 8th, Verstappen 9th, for Grosjean 10th. That's a slow-moving Ferrari back there.
It is a slow-moving Kimi Räikkönen, who I believe has a puncture as well. His left rear is shredded.
Now, did he not just pass pit lane? When did that puncture happen?
I believe we may see a replay of it soon, but was that contact in the middle of the field?
You'd feel like it was likely, given that,
and whatever was left of that tire has now completely come apart.
It's gone. Not a hope in hell. I mean, Raikkonen and Maldonado did start side by side on the grid, so it's quite likely they came together. We'll wait for the replay on that one. I don't remember every detail. Here we go.
So it's Raikkonen and one of the Toro Rossos. Now it's Felipe Nasr. And the right front wing end plate of Nasr's car just cuts Raikkonen's tire. Unlucky.
Yeah, it just clips him on the exit of the final corner, hence why Raikkonen couldn't have known about it and gone into the pits, and now he's got to go a whole lap on 3 wheels.
And Nasr's got to go a whole stint on a broken front wing.
Neither of these are ideal. Messy, to say the least. Raptor asking in the chat, do we F with the 2015 Mana Marussia livery? Because I like it. I think it's nice.
It's all right. It's very low budget, completely understandable for a team that was running on, whatever is below a shoestring budget. But it's nice and clean. I think I just saw Nasr duck down the pits for a new front wing. So forget what I said about doing a whole stint on a broken wing.
We're not going to ride that one out. Understandable. Verstappen down to 10th. He's just been passed by Romain Grosjean on the final corner. Nicely done from the Frenchman there.
Yeah. By the way, Romain Grosjean originally qualified 8th, had to take a 2-place grid penalty for, I want to make sure I got this right, not leaving the pit lane in the order of his arrival.
A two-place. That's a very specific penalty. I don't think I've ever heard of a two-place grid penalty. I've had a couple of ones now, especially now off the back of the Verstappen Russell petulance from Qatar last year. But a two-place grid penalty.
Mm-hmm. As you do. And Verstappen and Sainz running tail to nose together. Kimi Räikkönen finally comes in for his stop, one lap too late, continuing the frustration of 2014.
Yeah, we don't speak about Ferrari's 2014. That was a rough year. The F14 team was often nicknamed as a vacuum cleaner. And I think they had maybe one podium for the whole of 2014. It was rough.
It was so bad. It got Fernando Alonso to quit the job he was desperate to get when he got run out of McLaren the first time.
Fernando, he did 5 years at Ferrari, and then that 2014 was the final straw. I'm going back home. Or when I say home, I mean the place he also fell out with and was done after one season because he didn't get preferential treatment.
That's right. Look, it's 2025 still, and Fernando Alonso is taking his ball and going home over the intra-team politics between him and the other driver in its team. Some things never change.
Yeah, Stone Cold Steve Alonso. Oh, and there's Ericsson.
Oh, no, there's Ericsson going off. We got a local yellow, and Marcus Ericsson, who qualified so well, has beached his car. Unlucky, man.
From 8th on the grid, just way too hot into turn 1. He's tried to get it turned. He's actually spun it. It's now backwards in the gravel trap, and he's beached it. Safety car deployed.
Tractor comes out to retrieve Marcus Ericsson, who had a very pedestrian 2014 season at Caterham. Even by the standards of it being Caterham, he was regularly outperformed by Kamui Kobayashi, and also Andre Lauder for one round, let's not forget.
Ooh, but
because of his financial backing, he is able to secure a seat in the second Sauber. The first one of Felipe Nasr is just coming around a pace car now. Things eventually get a little better at Sauber. I don't think Ericsson ever set the world on fire during his time driving for the team based in Hinwil, Switzerland, whether it's Sauber or whether it was Alfa Romeo. But ultimately comes good later. Despite his current IndyCar struggles, he still has his name and likeness on the Borg Warner Trophy.
Won an Indy 500 in brilliant fashion. He was unlucky not to win 2, I'd argue, given Joseph got, shall we say, a little bit flirty with the pit lane entry rules on that final lap. But hey, when you're defending a 500, wouldn't you? When
you've got a one-lap, last-lap shootout to get it, wouldn't you? By the way, in 2015, Joseph Newgarden is just starting to break through at CFH Racing, as it's known. It's a merger between Ed Carpenter Racing and Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing at the time. He will win his first race later this year.
Good times. Get the replay to start real quick. Pretty as well, but front runners coming in. The Mercedes are coming in during this early safety car and getting on the hard compound tyre. I think Sebastian Vettel and Ferrari has stayed out.
Interesting.
So most of the front runners are in here, except for Seb's Ferrari, which I think will now inherit the race lead.
Brundle spotted a potential unsafe release for the Williams of Massa crossing past with the Toro Rosso.
Bit of a wide pit entry, and they might get away with that. No real
Fernando
harm
Alonso
done.
takes his stop, and probably the fastest these Mick Hondas have looked all year.
There's Alonso coming out now. There's Valtteri Bottas coming out now. But yeah, there's Hamilton on board with him now as he's trying to get back up to the train. But yeah, it's looking like... So that says to me that most of the leads are going to be free stopping. A free stopper in modern day F1.
Remember when all the complaints were that Pirelli couldn't make a tire that was durable enough for the rigors of modern day Formula One?
Never.
Valtteri Bottas just bonks Maldonado enough to cut down that right rear tire of his.
Oh, it's an unfortunate one, that. just like there's Axel with a big old send on Max Verstappen of all people. ran Verstappen 4 wheels off. He would never go on to do the latter himself.
So Vettel, Hulkenberg, Grosjean, Sainz, and Perez all stayed out.
Vettel accusing Mercedes of shenanigans on the radio. They're saying they may have intentionally backed the wagon up before coming into the pits. I don't think anything came of that, but racing drivers being snitches. What a surprise.
Roberto Meri also failed to make a pit stop, but because the pace of the Manor is not all that great, he's only 10th.
So you're telling me 4 drivers had a full-on pit stop and gone out ahead of Mehi's Manor?
That's exactly what I'm saying, yes. Look.
In 4 green flag laps. 4.
Absolutely.
With that in mind, honestly, it's a miracle they made 107% sometimes. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, some teams did not out of that class of 2010. The teams that joined with high ambitions. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because Hamilton had something to say about strategy, tires.
He never does that.
Valtteri Bottas has a slow left rear change. They got all the tires on except one.
Remember that? It will become important later when they raced in Bahrain. The short version.
Stick him on and send him out was the Martin Brundle line when it came to Eddie Irvine at the 1999 European Grand Prix.
A timeless classic.
So Hamilton and Rosberg put on the hards. Ricciardo and Kvyat put on the mediums again.
Interesting. And they started on that. So they wanted. Did they value fresh rubber that badly that they would even take a 4-lap delta for a bit of track position? Or maybe they figured enough people would come in where it's effectively a free stop.
Must have done. Romain Grosjean in the Lotus Mercedes, by the way. This is a power unit change because the Lotus Renault of last year was, we mentioned the less said about 2014 Ferrari, the better. That applies double for the Lotus Formula One team, Lotus the Third in 2014. Ugly-looking car, underpowered engine.
Lotus the Third. That's a great way of putting it.
Because there was Lotus the First, the original Team Lotus that was good, and then there was Lotus the Second, which became Caterham, which then folded before the start of the season.
We'll never forget Finbar O'Connor in his one-off appearance for the team at the end of the season.
No relation.
No relation. But bless him. Have you ever seen someone look more like a deer in the headlights when he was there for the team press conference? Poor man.
I also appreciate that the Ghost Raptor has pointed out, man, could you imagine if the Renault factory team used Mercedes power units? That would never happen.
Preposterous. We're green, by the way. We've just gone green for lap 7 of 56. Sebastian Vettel now leads the field off. Rosberg immediately trying to have a look at Felipe Massa. Knows the urgency of trying to get past him quickly here, but can't do it into turns 1 and 2.
Massa looking really racy. It felt like the change of scenery, leaving Ferrari to go to Williams last year, really rejuvenated his career just a bit.
Yeah, and looking back on it now, the fact he was able to run with a very solid prospect in Valtteri Bottas and was still only in his 3rd ever season at this point goes to show you that, I think Massa found some of his old form here a little bit. Nice to see.
Perez is looking good. Perez looking good. Holding off Hamilton. But it's Lewis Hamilton in the strongest car, the reigning world champion, makes the move up the inside of the left-hand quarter to take the position. And here comes Daniel Ricciardo with a 2-for-1 special.
Oh, right outside. Lovely move coming out of the left-right-hander complex there. Beautiful stuff around the outside from Danny Rick. He was known for his ambitious overtakes back then, and that was another one. Beautiful stuff.
There's a reason why, perhaps controversially, he was Autosport's #1 driver of, I want to say it was 2014?
He was indeed. I mean, honestly, I kind of get why. He was such a breath of fresh air and such a lightning rod in that Red Bull, despite how dominant the Mercedes car was. I can kind of understand why you'd put him number one, because he was so good that season. And look, you don't beat Sebastian Vettel easily, as much as some people might want to say otherwise. To do that, first year in a big boy team was remarkably impressive.
Mark Webber is a World Endurance Drivers champion, and he ran him pretty freaking close for 4 years. So agonizingly close that it strained relationships within the team.
Mm-hmm. Rosberg passed Sergio Perez, who had an overheating battery on that first lap. But yeah, I mean, what does it say about the state of the grid when Lewis Hamilton can pass someone into turn 11 with no DRS, purely on battery power and extra grip?
There's Max Verstappen making some of the moves that people really liked him at this time.
I remember people like Mark Hughes and the late Eddie Jordan saying that Max was a future world champion after like 3 career starts. They were right. I just thought that back then they were a little bit wacky. It felt too soon, but turns out they were right. What do I know?
Well, I mean, it is kind of crazy throwing a 17-year-old, let's not forget, straight into Formula One after just 1 season of racing big boy cars. He did the Florida Winter Series against such established names like Lance Stroll and Will Buxton, and he also did 1 season of European Formula 3. That's what eventually became FRECA, I guess. The lineage is weird, but all you need to know is that Max Verstappen finished a very competitive third in his rookie year against 2 more experienced drivers than Esteban Ocon and Tom Blomqvist, and signed a Red Bull deal before the end of that season, and, well, look where we are now.
Yeah, again, it's safe to say he turned out all right. We got some midfield scrap in here as we start lap number 9. Is that Fernando Alonso back there now dueling with Sergio Perez's seemingly hurt Force India?
Nothing is as hurtful as the McHondas of this generation, dog. They have attempted to create something that's like the West cars of the late 90s and the early 2000s, the ones we grew up with and some of us idolized, and the execution was not there in terms of aesthetics, and it damn sure wasn't there in terms of performance.
Yeah, safe to say it would take Honda quite a while to find their footing here. They were late to the party for the turbo hybrids. They get there in the end. Just they were a bit of a laughing stock for the first few seasons. Just listening in for a Rosberg tyre message. But yeah, again, Hamilton keeping up in this train on hard compound tyres compared to the midfielders around him on mediums. Again, says a lot about the state of Mercedes and where they're at relative to the field. But it is allowing Sebastian Vettel to pull away. He's now got a 6-second lead on Lewis Hamilton relative to where he was on track.
7.6 now as we complete lap 9.
Yeah, Seb is way down the road. Hamilton is entering the back straight just as Seb is entering the braking zone for the final corner. He has pulled away massively in just the 3 laps since we went green again.
Whoa, what a dive up the inside from Rosberg and Massa in the final corner.
Whew. Big old send. Big old send. My goodness. Yeah, the Mercedes tried to fight it through. Ooh! Carlos Sainz getting real blocky on Lewis Hamilton into turn 1. Still can't hold off. Hamilton sending it on turn 1 there to overtake and go into P4 on the road after that. Big brave send from Lewis Hamilton there.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And Carlos Sainz this year racing with something improved because all the attention's on Max Verstappen, his other teammate, and Carlos Sainz is like, hi, I won the very difficult Formula Renault 3.5 Series championship. I deserve a little bit of respect in this team, too.
Again, would take him a while to get there, but you forget how many brilliant Formula Renault 3.5 drivers cut their teeth in that series and made it into the big boy dance. I think it was one of our Discord members the other day that pointed out, I think over 20 of them from Formula 3.5 eventually graduated into F1 itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Sebastian Vettel was one of them. Daniel Ricciardo was another. The aforementioned Carlos Sainz.
Yeah. Mentioned K-Mag. Seb was in there at one point. A boatload. We could spend half an hour talking about that alone, quite frankly.
Oh my
But
goodness, yeah. This is back when we had two functioning top tiers of the single-seater ladder, and then, well, Formula Renault 3.5 lost the Renault. Red Bull didn't want to back it no more, and then they lost preferential treatment and FIA super license points.
yeah,
And Sebastian Vettel's pulled out a nearly 10-second lead on Lewis Hamilton.
Yep, and Hamilton's now only just coming out of the final corner. He's going to have the easiest pass in the world to start lap 11 by passing Nico Hulkenberg before he even gets to the start-finish line, let alone into turn 1. So Hamilton now finally in clean air.
But he's now 10 seconds behind. Rounded up, it's 9.99 and 5.
Yeah, so Seb was 2 seconds a lap quicker than Lewis in the traffic since we went green again. Crazy pace.
People say it as like a backhanded compliment or an insult, but I think it's awesome that Sebastian Vettel is one of the very best front runners in the history of Formula One racing, at least certainly in my time watching. Oh, and by the way, he can fight his way through a field too, let's not forget.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I was going to bring up this point early on in the show, but was there ever a world champion that was so openly criticized in the era of social media and the internet than Sebastian Vettel was?
Well, hold that thought, because we've still got to play out the rest of this 2025 season.
Yeah, it's it's a good point. It's a good point, but man, Seb came off for... I've often compared it to Terrell Davis, the NFL Hall of Famer, who really only had 4 really, really big seasons for the Denver Broncos, but still made the Hall of Fame off the back of his legendary career. Seb, 2010, wins the world title, becomes youngest ever world champion. 4-way title fight between him, his teammate Mark Webber, Hamilton, and Alonso. 2011, 11-win season, 15 pole positions, breaks the all-time points record. 2012, wins the world title with 6 world champs on the grid. Carlos goes a bit wide there, and now he's side by side with, I think that's Ricciardo back there. But 2012 was there by the time. In 2012, again, Alonso seemed to get a bit of the benefit of the doubt given the strength of the cars. And then 13, he wins, 13 Grand Prix, including 9 in a row?
Yeah. It tied a record for the most consecutive Grand Prix victories. I'm watching all that as Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo are having a mighty skirmish, with Ricciardo setting it in way too hot in turns 1 and 2.
Very much so. I mean, for me personally, I can't think of a world champion this era that was more criticized than Sebastian Vettel was in that time. For some reason, we never gave him his flowers. It was always like Hamilton or Alonso that was deemed the pound-for-pound king. Even when 2014 came along and Ricciardo beat him, I think it was a bit of a gotcha for a lot of the press that were like, ha-ha, we knew he wasn't that good. Look what happened now. Weird timing. But I could talk about Seb for another half hour. That would be unfair for you and the rest of the chat, quite frankly.
Look, man, it's part of the reason why we're doing this, man.
But also, isn't it kind of great, to a degree, seeing all these dudes in traffic be able to stay with each other and actually race?
Yeah, I mean, Hulkenberg did bottle up this field crazy for the first 10 or so lap.
Listen, Hulkenberg did his job, okay?
He's got another job to do. Porsche apparently wants to put him in one of their fancy new 919 hybrids for Spa and Le Mans. I mean, that's nice.
It's nice. Look, he is in the hands of the Tandy Man, and as we all know, the Tandy Man can, because he races it with love and makes the race taste good. So I think
but that's very bold of you, because in 2015, Nick Tandy was barely anybody, and Earl Bamber was even less than that.
I just have a feeling that the little bit of the magic that comes from an F1 guy coming in short term might come through for them.
Ooh, Kimi Räikkönen doing well to try and claw back some of that ground that he lost.
Is
he already still up to 12th?
I was gonna say, he just about stayed on the lead lap when he was dealing with that puncher, and the safety car basically was a get out of jail free card for him. He got very fortunate there, and it's paid off nicely for him. But yeah, we still have a huge train back here. Like, I think it's Hulkenberg at the front, who must be having a nosebleed knowing he's in a podium position here.
Grosjean right behind him. Rosberg right behind them.
Yeah, this was like the not-so-great Nico Rosberg year.
Oh, big lockup from Gro.
Big lockup from Grosjean there coming into turn 11.
Words of encouragement from Sebastian Vettel's race engineer to him.
Pace is good. Keep it up. Pace is good. We're 13 laps down, 56 in total, so we're coming up towards 1/4 distance. But yeah, this was like the one not-so-great Rosberg year out of his time at Mercedes. This is like the one outlier year where he was a bit below par, as this World Championship would later play out. But still pretty potent, safe to say. But funny thing is, Hamilton's now been in clean air for a good 3 laps. He's made no inroads on Seb's 10-second lead.
He's pulling away from everybody behind him, but Sebastian Vettel is keeping the gap to that same 10-second margin.
Yeah, right now, Hamilton does not have an answer for Seb's mediums. Like, that Ferrari must be dancing on its tyres.
Daniel Ricciardo's got brake dust shooting out of his car. We know probably by this point that he's the trademark last of the late breakers, but like he might be having some trouble there.
Yeah, Felipe Massa just passed him into turn 1 there to start lap number 14. Yeah, brake dust everywhere coming out of that Red Bull. It's like Hamilton in 2025.
Hulkenberg, Grosjean, Sainz all benefiting massively, gaining 5 places or more. Hulkenberg and Sainz gaining 9 places, in large part due to that strategy.
So clearly that says to me that those 3 are probably going to try and 2-stop this, which right now seems brave, given the difference in pace.
Very, very brave. I mean, wasn't it 2 years ago at the Spanish Grand Prix where we're lauding the courage of Fernando Alonso? I know I certainly was, because he was just like, instead of saving tires, why don't I just run 5 bonsai stints and do a 4-stop race? And it worked.
It was a race where we had dudes on 2, 3, and 4-stop strategies. It was one of the craziest races to keep up with in real time, because he just didn't know who was going to be 2-stopping, who was on 3s, and who was on 4s. Crazy stuff.
Oh my god, yeah. And when we were just like, oh, this is awful. Is this what we want Formula One to be?
Yes, actually. Give me that over the 1-stoppers we'd have now with Pirelli playing it ultra safe. And the chat seemingly agrees with us on that one, by the way.
We don't know how good we had it. We got some things better nowadays, but there are some things that have been missed about this. Got a couple cars coming down to the pits. Carlos Sainz is one of them. Kimi Räikkönen is the other.
Yeah, Räikkönen actually caught up to the back of that train by the end of that stint. But they're both in now. So first of the blinkers... on that particular strategy, because Sainz came in. Is this Sainz's second stop already?
Believe this is his first.
Okay, so he stayed out originally then.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Absolutely.
That's
how he got all the track position.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. So the guys who started the race on mediums, who stayed out, now are in the window, seemingly. So maybe we'll see Seb make a move soon.
Possibly.
Last time round. Yeah, go. It
looks good for Hulkenberg right now at this stage. And remember, it's still early enough in his career where you think the podium's coming. It's just a matter of when.
I thought this for many, many, many years. Before the beloved Hulken podium. With knowing that podium was still 10 years away. Dear God.
Would we have ever thought? Again, this is the year, small spoiler, Nico Hulkenberg and those 2 quote-unquote other guys basically dominate the 24 hours of Le Mans from the second half of the race onward.
Mm-hmm.
No, Dre, remember when we talked about, like, being a Pastor Maldonado fan is tough?
Yeah.
10-second penalty to Maldonado.
For not following safety car Delta. Well.
Man, I gotta tell you, It was in 2012 I realized the speed was there where he could win multiple Grand Prix. The
We'll always.
temperament was never there except for that one day in Barcelona. Hulkenberg and Grosjean pit.
I don't care what anyone says to me. Pastor Maldonado had speed. If nothing else, he had pace. And there was a few flashes in 2012 beyond the Spanish victory where he genuinely had top 5 level pace.
There was Singapore. I mean,
Yeah.
either one of those at least podiums at least, but him and Hamilton get together in Valencia and his car breaks down in Singapore.
I still maintain that wasn't fully Pastor's fault in Valencia. I still maintain that Hamilton ran in 4 wheels off.
Yeah, but you're never gonna win the reputation battle on that one, now are you?
No. And to be fair, Pastor did rejoin track very dangerously, which probably superseded anything Hamilton did in terms of naughty racecraft. But here we are.
Jenson Button's just having an incredibly anonymous 11th place run in the Maconda.
It's funny you talk about Jenson Button. I mean, we're recording this on November the 5th, his final professional race this weekend.
Jeez, that's right, I forgot, because he is walking away from the Cadillac Hertz Team Jota team. We knew that was going to happen, and yeah, he's done racing at the highest tiers. We don't know if he's going to come back for one-offs or not. Honestly, he's earned a nice retirement.
I mean, you don't win a super GT title in your post-retirement trail without being somewhat talented. A great driver, of a great career. And
absolutely.
Also, one of the most universally well-liked drivers I can ever remember. Has anyone ever had a bad word to say about Jenson Button until this legal issue earlier this year?
I mean, look. Yeah, everybody loves Jenson Button's 2009 comeback story. I have a ton of respect for that dude. The season he had in 2011 with McLaren was pretty outstanding as well. And let's not forget, in 2015, he was the controversial choice to stay on alongside Fernando Alonso, because I probably thought maybe it's time for Honda to build around youth, not knowing that, hey, when you're starting up a new power unit program, you don't want to operate a Formula One team like a soccer club in a rebuilding phase. You really want the experience. That just sucked for Kevin Magnussen.
It did. Him and Sergio Perez were probably both hard done by in that scenario. I mean, they hired Perez in 2014 thinking he was going to be the next big thing. So 2013, I should say, was the next big thing. But that's when Martin Whitmarsh effed around with the suspension layout on the McLaren, and it took all their pace away.
When everybody was going push rods, they were going pull rods at a time where that hadn't come back in vogue.
Is that Seb in? It is Seb in from the lead. Seb in from the lead on lap 18 of 56. In he comes. Seb still had about an 8.5 second lead when he came in. Lewis was just starting to take some time out of him on those harder compound tyres, and as we now see, I want to say Nico Rosberg now pulling past him here as he comes out of the pits in 3rd place. Only the Mercedes in front, but he's beaten the queue of Williams on the way out. Nicely done. 2.4 stop from the Ferrari crew as well. Outstanding.
We got to remember, those were pretty rare back this time. Not like exceedingly rare, but that was a really, really good stop.
That was a money stop from the Ferrari crew. Brilliant work. And there's Ricciardo coming through and his teammate Danilo Kvyat there as well.
Very interesting to see them racing this close.
Yeah, so Seb has come out 14 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, 6.5 behind Nico Rosberg, the 2 Mercedes in front of him. We're getting a little replay here now. Is that Verstappen? And
that's Verstappen on Ricciardo. So Verstappen does the old up and under.
He's going to go the long. He's made it work. The long way around coming out of it. That's a brilliant move from Max Verstappen. I know Ricciardo's made a mistake, but that's really nice opportunistic passing from Max Verstappen. He's now running P6.
Yeah, these are the moments that justify what people said, even though he's 17, even though he's got like 36 car races under his belt, maybe he's worth gambling on. And Daniel Kvyat, of course, follows him through with the opportunistic move into turns 1 and 2. Not familiar with that flag next to his name, but I'm sure it's nothing important.
No. I'm sure it's nothing to do with the red, white, and blue. And then the many countries have those color combinations on their flag. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me of that Rusev guy that's challenging John Cena for the U.S. title in a couple weeks.
I hear he's bringing a tank.
Oh my God. We did not know how good we had in WWE 2015. It was still kind of ass.
Yeah. Bless him. But yes, Seb's pace is great. By the way, he was 2 seconds quicker than Hamilton on his brand new medium tyres last time out. That Ferrari is potent.
Let's see Mercedes and Red Bull getting for stops. Ricardo's coming in.
I hope that's not a technical problem. And it seems like a routine stop from here. Front right a little slow.
Raikkonen gets fast button.
That's Raikkonen out to P9 after the pits have all shaken out. Raikkonen's low-key having a good day out there, given the recovery job.
And Alonso is in the points for McLaren as it stands.
Woo!
Oh my God, is this the start of the turnaround? Are we finally getting the McLaren Honda of the 80s and the early 90s that was promised when this program was announced in 2013?
No. But it's nice that you thought that way. Optimism is a great thing.
Look at Felipe Nasr. Obviously, it's not the stratospheric heights of his 2015 Australian Grand Prix debut, but again, he's holding in there quite well. And Sauber, at least early in 2015, brought a really good car to start the season. Don't ask how the development curve went on this thing, but it was still a really good start and a really good shot in the arm for a team who was kind of in a state of disarray because a lot of people thought they should have kept the slower drivers.
Yeah, definitely.
This is nothing against like Adrian Sutil or Gato Vandergarde, but like you look back on it, if you had the choice between those 4 drivers of all over again, I'm still taking Nasr and Ericsson. I'm sorry. I know the way they did it was not correct, but at the end of the day, they landed on the right choices. Sebastian Vettel sets another fastest lap.
And was 2.5 seconds faster than Nico Rosberg in front of him. He's on fire. He's only 2.4 behind Rosberg now. He's going to be up there at the back of him, maybe by the end of this lap if the pace continues.
You don't need a Delta graphic on screen to see it.
No kidding. Get a replay now of Raikkonen passing Felipe Nasr there for P9. Well, what happened in that Ferrari camp between 2014 and the vacuum cleaner and now, but this car's got something.
It feels like they've got a new manager bounce, let's just say. And look, time will tell that Maurizio Rivabene's time with Ferrari was not all that great in retrospect, but I can buy that they had a big bounce. Ooh, remember when I was just saying that Felipe Nasr was having a really good time at the start of a season? Well,
that's what did it.
He overshot the corner. That corner right there is such an I believe it's turn 14.
Yes.
They overshot. That's easy to lock up and miss.
Unless you're Valentino Rossi, of course.
I thought we weren't doing that race.
Next time.
So they're saying Rosberg's got one more stop.
Yeah.
And they're basically telling him, hey, don't let Vettel pass you because if he does, you lose the race.
Yeah, this is for position, is what they're basically saying. He was basically wondering if, basically what strategy Seb was on, whether he was going to be 2-stopping or 3-stopping. They tell Rosberg on the pit wall that he reckons they're both 2-stopping. Bold, shall we say?
Really bold. Because Vettel is just chewing into his pace like crazy.
He's now within DRS range. He's within a second as we see him go through Sector 2 and the left-right into the double right-hander complex coming up now. That Ferrari is looking like it's on rails.
Jason points out, could be worse with Maurizio Arrivabene, who could be involved in illegal activities in his post-F1 life. Trey, do you know anybody that would affect in your life personally?
I don't know. Carlos Ghosn do crime, etc.
We may or may not. Brother that would be a big supporter of his post F1 job.
Yeah, Mauricio, for those who don't know, Mauricio Avrabeni would go on to become one of the sporting directors at Juventus Football Club. You could Google more about that one and see what happened to him. The chat's in shock when I just dropped that one in there, by the way. Here comes Seb, by the way.
Oh no! They're calling Fernando Alonso into the pit stop bots. He suffered a mechanical failure. The McDream of McHonda points is dead. But that's going to happen off camera because Sebastian Vettel's just passed Nico Rosberg.
And he made it look easy into the final corner. Nico's trying to counter-attack, can't do it. Hamilton, I say, Vettel too good on the brakes on this one. But wow. How many times, up until this point, has a fully healthy Mercedes in this era been passed straight up?
Certainly not last year. Not by the Ferrari, I can tell you that much.
Absolutely not. Startling to watch. That was easy. Like, Rosberg had no answer for that attack into the final corner, and Seb now comfortably second and pulling away from Nico Rosberg, already out of DRS range.
Well, here's the other McHonda coming into the pits, not retiring from a points-paying position.
Jenson Button giving it the old college try in P13, but that McHonda... Oh, by the way, they put metallic blackboard paint on the underneath. It is an ugly car.
Like I said, they try to make this like a sort of recreation of the West McLaren cars of our childhood.
Without the sponsors.
Operative word, they tried. And there's Fernando Alonso getting pushed back in the pits. And spoilers, this will be a recurring theme over the next 2 seasons and change. Until Fernando Alonso finally agitates McLaren and Honda's divorce at the end of 2017.
Yeah. Let's just say it took a while for Fernando Alonso to rebuild that bridge of Honda. It wasn't great. And now we could see Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel on the same shot. They're telling Seb on the radio, good boy.
They're just acting like he's a big golden retriever, just waiting to chase the tennis ball up in front of him. And the tennis ball is like green and silver.
5 seconds between Lewis and Seb at the front of the field. There's Fernando Alonso being consoled after having to retire the car from 9th place. Brutal run. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, we've got... Is that Verstappen there looking at Daniel Ricciardo? I think it is. As I look into the final corner, not quite.
Well, it's not like these two will interact much in the years to come. I mean, but this is really good from Verstappen. It could stay this close with the senior Red Bull team.
Oh, yeah. And wow, they just put a graphic on the screen. Seb was 2.1 seconds faster than Hamilton on his fresh rubber as Max goes to go the long way round on Ricciardo at turn 1. Does on the inside, and he gets it. Oh, brilliant.
He gets it just now, coming out of 3.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, the proponents, they might be right. They might be right.
He's old school, and I mean that in a positive way. That man is bold. Phew. Yeah, not a bad little talent, this Max kid, huh?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think there were stories about like his rookie cards, his rookie memorabilia was getting more than like Hamilton's and Vettel's stuff at the time.
That might have been investors thinking, hey, if we latch on early, if this guy turns out to be great, could you imagine?
Yeah, it's just like this Bitcoin stuff that's only now starting to wane and will probably never re-enter like mainstream consciousness.
No, never. It's just going to be funny money that you pay for quirky calendars and, you know, other stuff. Yeah, Hamilton's struggling. He's complaining about his tyres here. And on lap 24, he's talking about sliding. And look, very suddenly, Seb's only 2 seconds behind.
Holy Moses.
What happened?
Well,
we've just seen on the screen, Seb was 2.5 seconds quicker last time round.
Lewis
This is
Hamilton is struggling. And oh, by the way, there are probably a lot of people keen to see Mercedes' success, given that we are at the track that is primarily sponsored by Petronas.
Yeah, the Malaysian national oil company that's been a title sponsor of this team for over a decade.
Verstappen gets past Hulkenberg.
Easy stuff. Yeah, Max is on it. That boy
He's got
nice.
pace.
That boy nice. We really should be watching the lead battle right now. We're coming up towards half distance here in this race, but I think by the time we get to the final corner, Seb's probably going to be in DRS. Yeah, we're talking the devil. There he is. He's in DRS range.
He's closing. He's
On
closing
Lewis
going in
Hamilton
the final corner.
for the
Hamilton
lead.
doesn't offer much of defense, and he's going through.
And Lewis is going straight into the pits.
He wants none of this.
He didn't want that smoke. DRS was busted back then, says Raptor in the chat, and honestly, you're kind of right. It was probably worth about half a second.
I mean, shout out to my old boss Keith Collentine of Race Fans, who I had a great time working with him, but he was never a fan of DRS, and he certainly wasn't back then in this era. But I don't blame him because it was so busted.
I know Keith's listened to this show, and I have nothing but respect for Keith. But he if there's ever an opportunity for him to dismiss things like DRS and sprint weekends, he will take that opportunity.
Oh man,
Thanks for listening, Keith.
Appreciate it, boss. That's going to be gone next year in 2026, which is crazy.
Yes, we're going to have the variable aero settings, the X and the Y wings, I think they're calling it, for next year, and more, obviously, much more electric hybrid being deployed. But the Red Bull's going at it again here, now in the battle for what's 11th place. Weird to say, but here we are. They're in a queue behind Hulkenberg.
I know it's only race 2 of 2015, but should we be worried that this battle is only for 10th?
It's not great, is it?
I mean, I know last year was a step back, but
it wasn't it wasn't this kind of step back. At least last year they were winning races still and was getting on the podium every other weekend.
I told Rosberg one more lap after this.
Yeah, it looks to me as if Mercedes are way worse on their tyres than Ferrari is this weekend. Meanwhile, we still got this fight going on here between Ricciardo and Kvyat behind Hulkenberg. And again, it's weird. We've got three cars, top to tail, right next to each other, and they can actually race.
I mean, they are kind of like following each other line astern, but they can race a little bit more. It's always crazy that, like, looking back on it, that there is like a crisis of dirty air, and then you go forward 10 years in time and it's actually worse.
Yeah, it is wild, isn't it? I mean, Max in the chat mentions Merck's worse on tyres. What is this, 2013? Yeah, it was 2013.
We are not far removed from the tire test scandal of Mercedes.
Mercedes, what was it? I think it was something like 1,000 kilometers extra testing on the Pirelli tires without F1's consent to be able to do so. In other words, they were big stinking cheaters.
Ooh, they're telling Ricciardo that he doesn't want to hold up Kvyat because his damage is getting worse, and he lets Kvyat through for 10th place. Oh, no! And Kvyat gets turned around by Hulkenberg, and all of that jousting and all of that politicking was useless in the end.
Oh, Hulkenberg spikes him at turn 2. That was messy. Oh, dear. I think it's hard not to put responsibility on Hulkenberg for that one. Seemingly, that was a shot, maybe a dive to the inside. We'll see that on replay in a second here. So we're watching this again from Kvyat's point of view. Ricciardo's trying to go around the outside of Hulkenberg into turn 1. Hulkenberg locks up. They're 3 wide through the apex of turn 1. Kvyat's trying to come through, take the apex, and Hulkenberg just in the way. And he gets spun out at turn 2. Kvyat probably thought it was his corner. Hulkenberg disagreed. That's quite clumsy from Hulkenberg, unfortunately. Rosberg's in the pits from second. So you're telling me it's a two-stop race for the Mercedes? He's got to go 29 laps on the hard compound tyre.
That's going to be tough.
I'm not convinced on that one. Ed in the chat saying, but is it ahead by today's rule book?
Ooh, brother.
Less said about that, the better.
Roberto Meri is already off the lead lap.
Also, it's wild. Seb now has a 22-second lead on Hamilton. He's almost got a pit stop in hand. That is wild.
Yeah.
And Hamilton is now on fresh rubber, so he should now start taking time out of Seb a bit rapidly. It's clear that new rubber is the move. But, again, surely Hamilton's coming in for a third stop later. Richard Rabeni on the sidelines looking very calm. The old Silver Fox. Nothing to worry about. No concern. Also, I love that in the middle of this shakeout, Kimi Räikkönen's now running third.
Yeah, how about that? After the puncture very early in the race, Räikkönen is finally going to salvage a dignified result after the hell year that he had?
Spicy one, that.
Like, it looked like after 2014 that Kimi Räikkönen was just done.
He did look demotivated in 2014. In fact, there was a couple of times where I wondered, maybe get Hülkenberg in there instead. And in fact, I remember at the time, Hülkenberg had an agreement with Luca de Montezemolo to go to Ferrari in 2015, and I want to say 2016 as well, but Luca never signed the deal.
Oh, man, it was always... somehow, Kimi Räikkönen was always able to get that form up just enough to get that rolling one-year extension.
Yeah, but I think the thing with Räikkönen is a lot of people, he'd earned a lot of benefit of the doubt, shall we say, by then, and it was understandable that they wanted to give him every chance.
Ferrari had already, paid him a bunch of money to go stay at home and do something else once.
Yeah, 18 million. I want to say, what was it, 2010
and 2011.
Yeah, 2010. They paid him 18 million to buy him out of his contract.
Which I believe at the time was the richest Formula One driver contract ever signed?
Something like that, yeah. Crazy money. Jensen Button in the radio saying, we're a little bit surprised. We're actually catching cars.
Could it be? McLaren Honda Renaissance? Just like the Senna Prost times that we were promised when this partnership was announced?
No.
When are they going to come, Dre Harrison?
Oh, I don't know. Buy me a drink first and I'll tell you.
Okay, so Rosberg is... Well, we mentioned that Raikkonen's letting the good times roll here for a bit, but it seems inevitable that Nico Rosberg is going to get past him.
Yeah, Rosberg coming now into the final corner on lap 28. And no, Raikkonen holds him off on this occasion. Rosberg is probably going to set this up for turn one, though.
He might just be setting up for 1 and 2 here. Hamilton fastest lap.
Yeah, Rosberg is going to open his DRS. He's going to go around the outside on the main straight. And he doesn't even need the corner. He's got him already.
He doesn't even need the braking point.
Yeah, Kvyat Hülkenberg incident now under investigation for causing a collision. I don't think that's going to take a lot of replay somehow. They've also got Felipe Massa, and is that Max Verstappen there?
It's Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz, yes.
That's a move for 5th place.
Yeah, Massa's now ahead into P5 in the Williams. Is this the replay again of what happened earlier? Oh no, it's Kvyat again. Here we go. Around the outside of turn 1 on Sergio Perez, and he's going to make it stick into turn 2 this time. No Force India front wing in the way.
And Romain Grosjean's just latched on the back of this train, thinking, ooh, if any of these guys mess up again, I could get some positions out of this.
This is the battle for the final point. This is for P10 between the 4 of them. Hülkenberg hanging on. Grosjean almost having to look into turn 5. That's bold.
Well, he is bold. Often accused sometimes it was way over the top, but Roman Grosjean was never accused of being too timid with his racecraft, let's just say.
No, he was never known for being gun shy, that boy. If he saw an opportunity, he would go for it.
Maybe this is the year that we start to get some of 2013 Roman Grosjean, Matt, because it was sorely missing in 2014.
Back end of 2013, Grosjean was a fine vintage, as strong as he was. About the only man that could keep up with Seb down the back end of that year towards the end of the season. It was wild.
He did everything he needed to do to win the 2013 Japanese Grand Prix. The problem is Lotus just got tactically outfoxed.
Yeah. Like that was I called it the pincer movement when Red Bull split their strats on him in Japan, and basically they used a free-stopping Webber as a decoy for a two-stopping Seb. And Seb came through for the win that day.
Verstappen up to sixth after passing Sainz.
God, that Toro Rosso ain't half bad out there, is it? It's got some speed.
It's not bad. I mean, and we are well past the days of this just being last year's Red Bull.
Look at the brake dust coming off that Red Bull into turn one, but Kvyat goes around the outside of Hulkenberg, and this time he gets to keep it.
More of that Red Bull brake dust. Kvyat gets 10th place. How are they going to rule that penalty? We don't know.
If I had to guess, probably a 5-second time penalty for Hulk. Yeah, they're telling Hamilton, you're going to have to pass Seb on track. They're still going for the win. The gap between Hamilton and Vettel is still 19.5 seconds despite the fresh rubber. Seb's pace is outstanding.
Oh my God, yeah.
Meanwhile, we still have another 3 wide through 10 minutes. The Force Indy is going at it, and Grosjean's still back there as well.
It's often said that, like, all you needed was just to have the Mercedes power unit and you'd be successful. Well, not necessarily in this race, because
Grosjean is taken out!
Grosjean gets spun off of Perez, and Grosjean drops out of the fight.
Oh, it was an ambitious move from Grosjean to try go around the outside of 14 like that, but it's hard to put that blame on him. I think you could make a case that Grosjean had enough. He was in front, actually, going into the corner, and Perez just understeers into him. And Grosjean spins out, luckily able to save the car and keep it running on the outside of the penultimate corner. But 2 into 1 doesn't go there, Checo, unfortunately. And Grosjean was in front.
And even Brundle's saying, like, yeah, he probably earned the right to some space there.
Yeah, he was in front. He had a wheel in front going into the corner. At that point, surely you're entitled to some room. But, we're back on board now with Sebastian Vettel. He's starting lap 32 with 56. And there's no one near him. He still has an 18-second lead. They're telling Grosjean's complaining on the radio about the situation, and his team's telling him, yep, we're looking at it.
Yeah. He's upset. And by the way, that's Sebastian Vettel lapping Felipe Nasr. Not a repeat of 2015 Australia in 2015 Malaysia for Sauber.
No, not quite. Hamilton now starting to show that pace now. He's a second a lap quicker than Seb at the back end of this stint. But you got to remember, Seb's on, I want to say 16 lap old tyres here.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a big old delta in tyre difference here between him and Hamilton.
Bringing the gap down to under 18 seconds. Had to wait a bit for him to come on screen, but he's starting to chip away at this gap.
But again, I do wonder, though, he probably needs to be taking more out of it than this now, because you got to remember, both these guys have got to stop one more time. You'd feel. Seb has to go again because he's had 2 medium stints. As we find out, Grosjean and Perez are now under investigation for that collision.
Let's often ask, because this Ferrari looks so good, it can't just be new manager bounce. What did they do with this car to make it so much better than that it's joke of a car that they had the year before?
It is ridiculous. Like, Seb got on the podium legitimately in Australia, and Ferrari was celebrating like they just won the world championship. Like, it was such a clear shot in the arm for that team that had a terrible 2014 season. And it's crazy how much they've gained over the winter. They've got Fernando Alonso on a post-race interview right now saying, hey, the pace wasn't actually half bad. We might be able to figure something out here.
The pace is not bad, but the problem is you're not beating a terminal turbo failure.
Indeed. Also, it's weird seeing a Lotus with the badge powered by Mercedes-Benz on the side.
Yeah, bit weird that, but again, it's going to be very weird seeing an Alpine with engines not built by the Renault Motor Company.
Also, as Raptor points out in shocking fashion in the chat, we actually got a fuel mileage graphic, because this is back in the days when they had to hit a 100 kilo full fuel flow limit. Back in those days, you could only use the equivalent of 100 kilos of fuel over the course of the race. Otherwise, you'd be disqualified, as Daniel Ricciardo found out to his peril in Australia the year before, where he was on for a podium finish and then was DQ'd for using too much fuel.
Yeah, I don't believe, I could be wrong, Oscar's gotten on the podium in his home race, right? They're gonna cook us so much. But he has not made the podium in his home race yet. This year was a really good opportunity, and well, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I remember he spun out of that penultimate corner. He was running third when that happened. And 10-second time penalty for Sergio Perez, causing a collision on the outside of that penultimate corner complex and spinning out Grosjean. So hard to argue with that, really. And 10 seconds for Nico Hulkenberg as well for that Kvyat collision. Can't really argue with that one either, to be honest.
There's a mild state of disorientation in the cockpit, because Crofty probably thinks that they showed the wrong Force India driver for the Perez Grosjean collision, and then they remembered, oh yeah, there was that Hulkenberg collision with Kvyat.
If nothing else, Crofty gets the big moments right. The little ones, not so much. Verstappen and Bottas. Ooh!
What a shove.
A little bit of a shove off the apex at turn 1, but Verstappen threw on Valtteri Bottas for P6.
That was a bit aggressive. It was a bit aggressive, but I'm sure Max Verstappen won't go to that move too much longer.
No, never. It's Max. Yeah, Bottas tries to go around the outside of turn 4 afterwards. Can't do it. He's still trying. Maybe the outside of 5. In fact, he has. He's made it stick around the outside of turn 5. What a pass that is from Valtteri. Oh, yes.
This is good stuff. By the way, some of the action in the upper midfield, the lower midfield has been very, very good this race. You see those pictures? Oh, it's him. But you see the pictures of this track and you think, wow, it's such a nice looking day in Sepang. And you're right, it's a nice looking day, but man, you are cooking. It's temperatures of about 32, 33 degrees ambient, surface temperature about 60 degrees Celsius.
Hot pocket. That part of the world, that time of year, always a heater. In fact, it was monsoon season sometimes, so sometimes Malaysia would have complete torrential downpours. Yes, the Raptor was in the chat. This would absolutely be under the new FIA heat hazard race if we did it in 2025. Because I think it's anything over 31 expected over the weekend, and they'll call it a heat hazard race where you've got to either wear the cool suit or add 5 kilos of ballast. Either or. Raikkonen in the pits for a second stop. He's still coming out in 7th place there on the hard tyre behind that Bottas Verstappen fight we've just mentioned a minute ago. Rats are also asking, you got to wonder how much of the drivers were affected by the heat during some of these moves. Massively. A Formula One driver loses about 4 kilos of water weight on a hot race.
Yeah, and we're back in the times where just like drivers are struggling to cut weight. Well, you're not going to be struggling to cut weight after this race.
Yes, it was a little while before we had the rules adjusted to accommodate for driver weight. This was back in the time when drivers like Adrian Sitzel were talking about having to starve themselves and living on 1,500 calories a day in order to be fit enough to maximize the amount of ballast they could put back on their race cars. It wasn't healthy, as we've seen in sports like mixed martial arts. Rapid, weight cutting can be fatal. It's not good. It's not healthy, and I'm glad that era of racing is largely gone.
And by the way, what a time capsule mixed martial arts is 10 years ago when the UFC is just a normal, successful fighting promotion, and Conor McGregor is just a normal, trash-talking, top-of-the-tier list welterweight.
Anyway.
Man, things changed really fast. Really, really fast in a very, very, very bad way.
Other Kira in our chat, who's from Ireland, is worth pointing out, mentioned, quote, "Nah, he was still a cokehead. The Americans just didn't know."
But see, like, there's having a cocaine addiction, and then there is whatever kind of worse nonsense that came further on down the line. There is levels to this. I am not a Motorsport 101 saying that, like, hey, cocaine is great. But what I am saying is that alone does not nearly compare to all the other stuff down the road.
You sound like John Boyes on that Lonnie Smith video. It's like, John told me to do coke. I'm going to do coke now.
By the way, I'm wearing my Atlanta baseball hat during this recording. And how is that going in 2015? It's going as great as the Maconda project in 2015. I'm glad you asked.
Does coke make you better
also,
at baseball?
Golly, this Paris stop was bad. 13.8 seconds is a good stop in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Oh dear. Yeah, that was grim from Force India on that one. Not great. The artist now known as Aston Martin, by the way.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about because, like, we're not too far off from, like, Aston Martin having a secondary sponsorship with Red Bull. Oh, Vettel's last stop incoming.
Seb's coming
20
in.
to go.
He's going to have 19 to go next time round. No, not yet, actually. He's going to run it for one more. That's actually run board with Raikkonen and Scar. So Seb will be coming around in a minute. Yep, there he is.
There's Sebastian Vettel in the final sector.
Yep, coming through the final sector right now. Still, we've not talked about him very much because his pace has just been fantastic. Still has a 13-second lead over Hamilton, who surely is stopping again.
And by the way, Vettel's first helmet after leaving the nest at Red Bull, so good.
As the guy who had the reputation of retiring helmet designs after every victory, and he had the luxury of doing that a lot in the V8 era, the one he stuck with for the back half of his career with the German flag number 5 of only some like subtle additions and subtractions over the rest of his career was really nice. Really nice.
It is also a damning indictment of how samey Red Bull racing helmets are these days.
Because they insist on having the giant Red Bull logo plastered on the fucking side of it.
Why not just stick with the one that looks like the Red Bull can? 3 seconds. That's a good stop.
You can actually see the Ferrari pit crew high-fiving in the background after that one, knowing their work is probably done to get him out ahead of Rosberg, and he's done it!
Good job. And they got tire warmers, so the pace is legit. Sebastian Vettel is staying ahead.
Outstanding from the Ferrari pit crew. They needed to get out in front of Rosberg and not have to waste time trying to pass him, and they got it. They were high-fiving in the pit lane after that one. Superb work.
Trey, it's a sight to behold. Ferrari executing its strategy to perfection.
That never happens.
And Hamilton is feeling stressed. He's normally very stressed in the cockpit whenever he leads a race. But he has a right to feel stressed now because he feels that lead just slipping away.
Yep, it's now under 10 seconds despite the pit stop. Seb now on fresh rubber, and if the pattern of this race has been anything to go by, that Ferrari's going to start taking chunks out of that Mercedes.
They did say Hamilton's going to have to make the move on track.
Yeah, which says to me he's going to have to come in again. And right now, that Mercedes is hemorrhaging time. It was 10 seconds coming out of the pits. It's already 9.1, and we're not even through the first lap of Seb being on fresh rubber yet.
We're just a year away from the driver of the day vote, but I got a feeling that my early vote would go to Seb for this performance.
Just a hunch. Is that Lewis in? It is Lewis in.
It is.
So he's immediately bailed on that strategy. So, okay, it's going to be a straight fight between
He's
Hamilton.
got the hards. He's got the hard tires on for this final stint.
Great stop from the Mercedes crew, 2.7, by the way. But yeah, that's it. This is your race. It's a straight fight on the same compound between Ferrari and Mercedes with 18 laps to go.
Ted Kravitz, the pit reporter for Sky Sports, and thus the world feed saying he may not have stretched that stint out long enough.
Oh boy. So in other words, they couldn't stretch it out long enough so maybe they could finish on the medium tyre, basically. So Mercs have had to go basically medium hard to make this work.
Ooh, that looked a little bit slow from the left on the right rear from Massa.
It did look slow, yeah, 5.2. Oh, not great.
Not great at all. And he pitted from fourth place.
Mm-hmm.
Just back in the days when Williams had Martini sponsorship, the car was looking clean. It was very aero efficient. It didn't have a lot of downforce.
No, it didn't, but it was fast and it had a great engine, and that was enough for Williams to leap back into the top 3 in the Constructors last season.
For the first time in 10 years. 10 years.
Yeah. Hamilton gets on the radio and immediately says, quote, "This is the wrong tyre."
Ooh.
Everybody's on the hard tyre now in the top 10, except for Valtteri Bottas on the medium, who, by the way, very quietly running P4.
Good job. Good job, Valtteri. Nasser and Grosjean running together in a future battle of IMSA GTP standouts for 12th place. Okay, so that's not going to be in the points, but you know what? It's not terrible.
Given he would drive for Lamborghini later in his career, then the 12th place actually makes a degree of sense.
Sebastian Vettel going purple.
That's a sign, isn't it? Okay, yeah. Basically, that's Seb saying the message, "Catch me if you can," says Brundle on team radio, basically. Game on. I mean, the way I see it, it's Ferrari that have pushed Mercedes around into this compromise on strategy. Seb's just ran his race, and he's been the quickest man here pretty much from the first safety car. It's incredible. It's unheard of at this point in time. I cannot stress, given how 2014 played out, you could make a case that Mercedes were not beaten on merit in 2014, period.
Mm-hmm.
Not without the shenanigans of Canada with the technical problems they had there, Belgium when their drivers hit each other, and then Hungary when the rain came down and team orders came into play, and both guys were bending the rules to try and get the upper hand on strategy. This is the first time Mercedes genuinely looks second best.
But, oh, by the way, just in case you forgot that, you might have thought, well, it's a year's past. There's not going to be that much needle between Hamilton and Rosberg. Just you wait.
Oh, it gets way worse than this later. Don't worry about that. This was the skirmish era.
Well, Hamilton says he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing on the strategy, but he has set fastest lap of the race anyway.
Was 8 steps quicker than Seb last time round. He's 8.7 behind Seb at the moment. But he's got to get through his teammate first as well. You've got to remember, Hamilton came out of that last stop in third. Rosberg is still 3.6 seconds in front of him.
With Bottas in the pits, Kimi Räikkönen is now back up to 4th place for the moment.
He was almost a lap down an hour ago.
Man, times change. Times change very quickly.
Second verse, very different from the first. They're boxing Rosberg. So Rosberg's going to free stop this.
Well, that's going to solve their dilemma of having to figure out what to do with their drivers. And no, Verstappen, you were having such a good race, and then you just slid off at the entrance of pit lane.
Slid into the gravel, almost in a Hamilton China 07 there. Got away with it, mind you.
But of course you're going to chalk that down to, hey, he's 17 years old and only his second Formula One start. No, Jenson Button's lost power.
Oh, God damn it!
Is this going to be a double DNF for McLaren?
Feels like it.
Again.
Rosberg in for his third and final stop of the day. Brand new set of medium tyres going on.
This is what they wanted to do with Hamilton.
Yep. Rosberg was able to look after his tyres and stretch it out for a 15-lap final stint on the mediums. Hamilton couldn't quite get there because he was hemorrhaging time on those hards.
Now, we got a lot of people who are loyal to the Honda Motor Company. Cam very much is. Raptor is, longtime supporter of the channel. He's going through it right now because he can't believe the McLaren Honda's having double DNF in 2015. And on our screen is the evidence of it. Jenson Button looking like he is just at pace lap speed.
Yep, he is touring around through Sector 2 right now. That looks like a terminal car problem to me. I wonder if he'll be able to get that back to the pits or he's going to have to park it somewhere. Now, I wonder here as well. Hamilton's now running second. Rosberg is now 14 seconds back on the medium. And Hamilton's stressed. Don't talk to me through the corners.
Yeah, I mean, they just told him he's within striking distance with 5 laps to go, but he's just like, nah, man, I'm not hearing this. I'm stressed. Hamilton was always stressed on the radio. Like, we used to, give him so much shit for saying his tires were dead when he's got good pace. Maybe he's just really high-strung when he's fighting for a win.
I think that is basically it. I mean,
everybody's like that. Max Verstappen's like that, too.
Yeah, but, I mean, look, you've told Lewis, you're going to have to gun this man down if you want the win. It's that simple. So he's pushing all out now to make that happen. And, well, Mercedes claim... Hey, Nicky. We miss you, Nicky. Good to see you, Nicky.
Rocking the BlackBerry branded headset.
Bitchin'.
Talk about a freaking time capsule.
Blackberries, your favorite phone when you're 15 years old. BBM me, baby.
BlackBerry, your favorite phone until the CEO of the company tries to uproot your favorite National Hockey League team and move them to a suburb in Ontario. I still haven't forgiven you.
that felt strangely personal.
Hashtag get your hands off my damn team. I'm a Nashville Predators fan. It's going great in 2015. Don't ask about 2025.
No kidding. Oh dear. So the funny thing about that radio message you mentioned a minute ago, RJ, was that they said that they think they'll get to Seb with 5 laps to go. The gap is still 14 seconds.
They might be running out of time for this, you know.
If Hamilton is gonna catch Seb, he needs to be taking about a second a lap out of him now. That's not happening.
Grosjean's going to send it up the inside of Nasser and get 12th place. It's not going to get him any points, but that look cool.
So, if nothing else, it looks cool. I think that's actually set behind him there, by the way, trying to put a lap on these 3.
I actually like the kind of JPS-esque. I know it's not the right shade of gold, but this looks so much better than the next company that tried a similar livery in a few years.
Look, no matter how you slice it, it's hard to go wrong with black and gold. As we see Jensen Button having to park his car in the garage, his day is done. Double DNF for McLaren on the day. Welcome to 2015, folks. Sadly, it doesn't get better for a while.
But at least did the cars look good? Not really. Okay, but did the Honda engines sound good?
No.
Not really. They sounded distinct in that they sounded like it was like putting a bunch of rocks through a dryer.
Yeah, but did the car look nice at least?
Okay, maybe the shape of the car, but again, we're talking about trying to recreate tobacco liveries of the past, but without the tobacco sponsors or any of the flair.
And there's a famous meme as Seb sings blue flag to the group in front of him.
Man, we can look back on this fondly nowadays, knowing that we probably would have just gotten annoyed at this so fast.
It's like, yeah, gentlemen, could you please get the hell out of the way while they're also fighting for position?
It's not even points paying position, dog. I get where Vettel's coming from. Nasser wanted no part of this.
He's dipped into the pits. Seb's now right behind these two, and they're still fighting for position. They're going to have to give this up at some point, right? That Hulkenberg does give up and get out of the way. There's the sporting thing. Knows he's beaten by Grosjean there, and then immediately dips out of the way for Seb. But Messi won that. 12 to go here. Still Seb with a 12-second lead.
It just makes me really miss Sepang as an F1 venue. I'm very glad that we still got high-level racing. Of course, we got MotoGP. We still got the Asian Le Mans Series. We still got a number of national and regional level events. And I have heard that they want Formula One to come back. They're going to have to dig deep into their pockets to make it happen. But they do want it back.
It's a bigger, better, bolder Sepang. I'd love to see them back on the calendar, but I fear with us having a 24-race calendar now pretty much locked in, at best, I think it might be a rotational round, given that we now know that Spa's going to be rotational and probably a few more in the coming years that will likely go the same way. I wonder if the market is there for Malaysia to demand a standalone round, especially with the rumours that Thailand will be joining this calendar next year in real life, as in 2027, and maybe a race in South Korea again too. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But Formula One is definitely keen to have more rounds in Asia. But do they want to go back to somewhere is going to be the question.
Remains to be seen. But for now, we'll always have the memories.
Indeed.
I think Hamilton's run out of time at this stage. I mean, we've got just 11 laps to go. The gap's still about 11 seconds.
So he is around that second a lap marker. But surely with Lewis, and given that the general story of this race has been Mercedes is struggling for tyre wear, this is going to get harder, not easier as the stint goes on. At least it feels that way. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. We've still got 10 and a half laps to go here. But without
By the way,
question,
this is making me realize just like how much of a miracle it was we did that 1992 Indy 500 episode, considering like, okay, a little bit of inside baseball. Like, I could not hear the broadcast as I was trying to like share it through the software we were using at the time. Meanwhile, Dre could only hear that at the very same time. I think we've got it balanced out, though.
Yeah, this has been a lot better. This has been a lot easier to handle. Long story short, to get a little bit technical insider, we do record our shows on Riverside, like many a podcast firm now does.
You're welcome.
Their screen share function is great. The only problem is you cannot change the volume on it. So even though RJ was playing it at like 1% volume, it was coming out at 100% through Riverside screen share. So I could only hear the broadcast and barely hear RJ. And for RJ, it was literally the other way around. Incredible.
It's like I'm trying to strain to hear what Paul and Sam and Bobby are saying, and Dre is just like, "Hey, could you turn it down?" I'm just like, "Hold on a second, I was trying to hear." "Oh, you said turn it down?"
And it was as low as RJ could put it without muting it, and he could still barely hear me. It was wild. But this is a lot better. We're doing it via a combination of Riverside and Discord, and it's worked out. Well, the looks of it really well. I hope the chat's been enjoying it as much as we have as well. We got 10 laps to go here in Malaysia. But everybody's now done their stops. Rosberg's asking for a race update. Rosberg's
and you could join the
great.
hashtag You could join the conversation with the hashtag Malaysia Grand Prix, because Formula One has just decided that social media is a thing that it can actually use to promote its product and not shun.
Formula One barely had a functioning social media team until the middle of 2014.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it is wild. Oh boy.
So 10 to go. Gap's not coming down. Dre,
yeah,
you got your Ferrari shirt on, and I'm saying to you and to you from 10 years ago, this is looking good.
When I first watched this race in 2015, this was about the moment where I started to think, hang on, this might just happen.
Might just happen after all. 9 to go.
Yeah, geez. I mean, like, as a Seb fan, and this is going to sound such an entitled piss baby sort of thing to say, I started out as a content creator in 2011, and I was a Seb fan in a time when Seb just didn't feel like he was getting his flowers, as I mentioned earlier. And it was a Hamilton and Alonso sport, and I was the Vettel guy on the internet. And, like, he'd won all those championships, won 4 in a row. I thought, like, what more did he have to do to earn validation from people? And it was still just not enough. And then 2014 happened. And then I was like, oh, for God's sake, now he's having a bad year. Now people are just going to double down on what they already thought. So for this to happen, second race in a Ferrari where Seb is now odds-on favourite for the win, this felt like redemption. This was the, oh my God, we're coming to America. Christmas is here in April.
But also in the back of your head, you're thinking, hey, there's still plenty of race left. This could all go sideways very quickly. One untimely puncture, one mechanical failure, and it's curtains.
Well, look, I cannot stress just how dominant Mercedes was in 2014. Like, I need to make this very, very clear here. At their best, they were 2 seconds a lap faster than the field. We saw the end of Bahrain 2014 when we had that 10-lap safety car at the end, and they ended up, God, I want to say, I think they were 25 seconds clear.
Oh my God, Max Verstappen with the send on Carlos Sainz.
At turn 4, that is bold.
Once again, another huge move for Max Verstappen, who, it's him again, but Dre put youngest ever Formula One points finisher that in a record that surely will never be broken.
Well, given F1, they'll never claim it, but I've always said I think Formula One brought in the super license to stop another Max coming through as a teenager. I mean, the way it's going now, unless the super license rules, well, they have changed since you technically can now potentially get a 17-year-old in F1 again, so the birth dates would have to line up in a very particular way for it to work. But it's virtually impossible. We that record that Verstappen has as young Stefan point scorer will probably now never go away.
And David Croft just mentioned it. The super license rules are changing next year. The age limit's bumping up to 18, and he's saying Max Verstappen could keep this record for an eternity.
Yeah, like technically now the rules have changed in 2025. Now we have the 17-year-old exemption rule, which we sort of used for Kimi Antonelli, even though we didn't even really need it in the end technically. But we knew that exemption is now in play. Technically, somebody could do it now, but again, you'd have to be very lucky on ages. And that's Maldonado out, I think. He's out. And Lewis has given up. That gap is held at 11 seconds now for the last 3 or 4 laps.
He's got no more to give. It's also crazy looking back at like early Toro Rosso era Max Verstappen, like looking at his performances then, and then like 10 years later when you look back at just like, he gets the Red Bull drive at Daniel Kvyat's bench, which is kind of shitty, but understandable in hindsight. He goes to the phase of being Formula One's hothead, and it's villain, and it's black hat. And now people just kind of like him as the respected veteran and 4-time champion. Okay, it's not universal, but more people like him now than about 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Things changed. Things definitely changed.
Did nobody tell Pastor Maldonado about the connotations of the number 13? Actually, in Venezuela, a lot of high-level athletes, particularly baseball players, rock the number 13. So it's not as unlucky in Venezuelan culture. Although it did turn out to be very unlucky for him in his 2 seasons at Lotus. We don't have to talk about that much longer.
Indeed. Coming up towards the last 6 laps here in Malaysia, coming towards the end. Here, Raikkonen is still on track now. We're still seeing him run in 4th place. I mean, a lonely day, but a hell of a recovery job, given where he was at on the opening lap with a puncher. He's now in a safe 4th place. That Ferrari's got wheels on it. Whew.
And look, Raikkonen's quite a ways behind Vettel because of the puncture, but feels like a little bit of the Lotus Kimi Raikkonen is back. And maybe bits and pieces of the first stint of Ferrari, Kimi Raikkonen is coming back.
Maybe so. And look at this. Hang on, fail radio. Keep your head down. Keep your head down on the radio. Seb is coming up to put a lap on his old team.
How great of a performance is this from Sebastian Vettel? How much of a worrying sign does this look like for Red Bull in 2015?
Not great. That Red Bull is out here losing by an entire lap to their direct rivals across the garage in Maranello.
And if you're wondering who is Sebastian Vettel's race engineer, it's a gentleman by the name of Ricardo Adami, who now works for Lewis Hamilton.
Yep. Now Lewis Hamilton's race engineer.
And how perceptions change in 10 years.
It's funny how these things turn out. They used to love that dude over here in that Ferrari setup. The moment he's with Hamilton, we can't communicate properly. Shit's bad, yo. It's totally not a Hamilton fan problem. No. You can't see the wink to the camera I just gave there unless you're on Riverside and a Patreon backer. Just saying. Perk of the page and all that, you know?
5 laps to go. A little bit of Carlos Sainz in between for Adami, by the way.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, both the Toro Rossos ahead of both Red Bulls on merit.
What is this? The 2008 Italian Grand Prix?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Daniel Ricciardo, 1 minute and 40 seconds off the lead here with 5 to go.
And in danger of finishing this race a lap down.
And Seb still holding that 10-second lead with 5 to go.
It might happen, Dre Harrison, from 2025.
I love that Brundle, the man who once said the most important man at Red Bull was Adrian Newey and not Sebastian Vettel, in the middle of his World Championship coronation in 2013, is now describing a Sebastian Vettel win as a feel-good story for F1. 2014 scarred people. It hurt them. It hurt them bad. It's like, remember, kids, there's always a bigger fish.
Absolutely. And that fish, I don't think even hit full power in 2014. I think, and small spoiler for the rest of the 2015 season, this is probably about as good as it gets for Ferrari, because Mercedes probably dominates this season even more than they did in 2014 in the long run.
In the long run. But the thing is that there was a couple of times where Seb legitimately beat these dudes straight. The other one was Singapore, where Seb was just on another level in Singapore. Apparently, that wheelbase on the Mercedes really didn't suit a slower, more technical track like Singapore was. And Seb was glistening. To be fair, he's always loved Singapore. I think he's won there 5 times in his career. But Seb was the only non-Mercedes driver to win a Grand Prix this season. The clear number 3 man in the standings, and basically doing what Ricciardo did the year before. He was the cleanup guy.
So, if you're a Red Bull, do you have these two hold position?
Well, it wouldn't be like
Tough
Christian
decision.
Horner. It wouldn't be like Christian Horner to pull rank at Sepang now, would it?
Well, to answer that question, Daniel Kvyat goes through to take 9th place, and Daniel Ricciardo lets them both through.
Well,
and Kvyat lets Vettel through. Okay, fair enough. They got the blue flags.
Yeah, it looked like Kvyat was just quicker than Ricciardo, to be fair, this weekend, so let the faster man have it, I suppose. But given they had nothing to really play for besides personal pride, I'm not sure that was necessary. What do I know? I'm not a team boss.
Yeah. First bit of adversity that Christian Horner would have to face at Red Bull Racing, and small spoiler, it will not be the last.
To say the least. Whew.
How very Noah's Ark of this race, by the way. We got the 2 Williamses in 5th and 6th. And again, another solid performances for the Williams. You're not making a lot of downforce, but at a place like this where you do have quite a bit of medium and high-speed corners, they're doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very solid day for the Williams there in 5th and 6th.
Just continuing what they did last year. You got to feel like, okay, they missed out on some wins, some golden opportunities to win one of those races that they podiumed. But at this time, you're feeling like that win, that return to the top step of the podium is going to be just around the corner. And it's just a shame that it never turned out that way before Williams started to come down from the crest of 2014 and 15.
Williams were the one team that were, and I remember Claire Williams spoke at length about this a lot during that time, about how these 2014 era turbo hybrids had twice as many moving parts as the V8s that came before them, and the running costs of them were way up. Like, apparently it was twice as much to run in terms of team budget compared to the previous year. So Williams nailed the regulations and had a very quick car, given before that they were minnows at the bottom of the grid in the turbo hybrid era. But when they got into this V6 turbo, they were the 3rd best team. But they couldn't hold it because they didn't have the money to outdevelop their rivals around them, and they just slowly sunk down the leaderboard as the years went on. It was very sad.
Yeah, if this were an episode of Secret Base's Collapse series, the peak is probably 2014, and the bottoming out is by the time the Williams family departs and they go a season without a point. 2 to go, by the way.
Yeah. And then Claire herself and the Williams family saying goodbye to the team at the Italian Grand Prix in, I want to say 2022, with George Russell and Nicholas Latifi at the helm. 21, actually, that was with Russell's last year there before going to Mercedes. But, yeah, it's it's kind of sad. I mean, Williams has been here for so much in Formula One, and well, when was the last time they were truly an elite team in F1? The early 90s, the mid 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Let's say the early 2000s, there was a window, but the engine was doing a lot of the lifting.
It was indeed.
Good to see them back on an upward trajectory, though, at least. And hey, it looks like any fears of the new venture capital investment wanting to rebrand this team as soon as possibly could. Surprise! They're going back to the retro branding.
Because for once, we could say, when does venture capital make something better? Apparently, Williams' logo is about as far as that list goes.
Valtteri Bottas trying to get fifth from Massa.
Going the long way
gloves
around.
Are off. They almost touch.
That's to run him wide. Good. This has been a great race, by the way. Some fantastic on-track action all the way through. And Williams are letting them go at it, which is the way it should be. Massa gets defensive through turn 4 here. Bottas is going to go for the up and under, tries the long way around at turn 5 like he did to Max earlier, and he's going to get it this time.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's outstanding.
Oh, beautiful.
And by the way, Sebastian Vettel has just started his final lap of the Malaysian Grand Prix.
Yeah, he's still got that 10-second lead he had earlier. He's held off Lewis Hamilton at the peak of his powers on fresh rubber, and Lewis did not have an answer for him. We're on board with him now, and the Ferrari team is getting ready to celebrate here. They're just making sure he gets points. Yeah, that Williams battle, by the way, 71 seconds off the lead. They were fighting for 5th.
Do you think I gave a shit watching that? Hell no.
Absolutely not. Great race this was. Listen, this was genuinely. I forgot how good a race this was.
I'll let you withhold your Dre's retro race review score in just a minute, but we're coming to the final corners. I think he's gonna do it. I think Sebastian Vettel in his second weekend at the new job is going to make a huge statement in the second round of this Formula One World Championship.
Round the penultimate corner for the final time. In retrospect, looking back on this, he made it look easy. He at no point was he under any threat. He stayed out on that key early safety car, and after that, he was completely untouchable. Mercedes vanquished for the first time. Sebastian Vettel wins the 2015 Malaysian Grand Prix, and Ferrari could celebrate again. Their first win in nearly 2 years. Oh man, there's Hamilton coming over the line in second. There's Rosberg in third. Mercedes beaten on merit. Probably for the first time in this era. I couldn't believe it. I openly admit I cried after this race was over. I couldn't believe what I'd seen. The frustration, the emotion of the previous year and change. I wasn't sure he was going to win a Grand Prix at Ferrari. Turns out he won quite a few. I'll take that.
You take that to the bank every day. Everybody is happy, and there's nobody happier than this guy.
Great drive. Ferrari's back. Oh. Grande, Seb, grande. Oh, this radio message fucks, man.
You can understand why we put it in the intro of our show for so long.
Oh, yeah. Credit
Adam. It, actually. The Malaysian Ferrari fans are going crazy. Can you blame them?
Credit Adam Johnson for that in our old intro for what it's worth. But yes, there's a reason why it was in there. And Brundle for once makes a valid point. He celebrated that win arguably harder than just about anything except his first world title win in 2010. The emotion, you can hear it. This meant something, man. This was the dream. He said he had 3 heroes in his life, the 3 Michaels, Jordan, Jackson, and Schumacher. Seb Vettel, Ferrari race winner for the first time. My goodness, there's the full classification on the screen. Seb ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. Kimi Räikkönen, a very lonely 4th in the end, ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Felipe Massa. Max Verstappen 7th, Formula One's youngest ever point scorer, ahead of Carlos Sainz, Daniil Kvyat, and Daniel Ricciardo rounds off the points in
Only
P10.
7 cars finished on the lead lap, but it didn't feel like a boring race at all.
It's wild that, yeah, Verstappen was 7th. He was a minute 39 off the win, and this is still easily probably an 8.5, 9 out of 10 race. This race had just about everything. It had strategy, it had back and forth, it had flashpoints. The on-track product was superb. The passing, the actual racing itself was excellent. Some really high-quality passes here. Great stuff. Really,
now we
really
get to park for May. It feels like they got to park for May real quick.
Mercedes didn't quite know how to react. They were like, wait, 2nd and 3rd? That didn't happen often last year. What's that Ferrari doing there? Also, note, race winning time, 101 minutes.
That's appropriately on brand.
It's on brand, baby.
Sebastian Vettel gets out of the Ferrari, the happiest he's been in some time.
I cannot remember the last time he was that happy. I think this is what started the public perception of Seb turning around. When he wasn't in that dominant Red Bull, when he was winning races. And look, I've said for a while, that Red Bull was not as dominant as people like to pretend that it was. But I think a lot of people, when he joined Ferrari, had just come to appreciate just what a damn good racing driver he was. And that he was the antagonist to Mercedes' newfound dominance.
It's like I always say, nobody really likes a winner. Nobody really likes a dominant champion until they stop dominating.
Also, my God, it is
the guy walking into the debrief room, Lewis Hamilton, is a prime example of that.
I think Lewis was a little bit different for a few reasons. 1, he was British. 2, he had a lot of hype coming in from the British broadcasting teams at ITV when they had F1. And if I'm being real, speaking as a black guy, black guy in Formula One, us black guys were like, that's our man right there. We got one. That's our guy. So I think it was a little bit different for Lewis to a degree. He had different adversity problems to get through and very valid ones, which I don't think you need me to spell out for you. But
for sure.
It was. I definitely think this race was the start of the public perception on Seb shifting. It's a very big flashpoint. Also, my God, it is cringe as fuck seeing all the cheerleading girls on the way to the room. Thank God F1 got rid of that shit. Jesus Christ.
The applause was pretty big, though. I can't even lie.
Oh, fuck. I'm sure that's what they were paid to do.
So, they're in the debrief room. You're saying, looking back on this a 9 out of 10 race?
Strong 8.5. Maybe a 9. Like, it's a really... I tend to save 9 out of 10s for, like, the really great races. But this is about as good as a Grand Prix gets without major shenanigans, especially given when you realise, hey, the winner won by 8.5 seconds. And yet it didn't feel like it because the action was great.
I mean, there are some years where, like, 8.5 seconds, that's like one of the closest finishes you'll see all year.
Yeah, no kidding.
I also love this little, like, flub of the constructors' graphics. Yeah, the red Mercedes and the teal Ferrari. As you do. They probably weren't prepared for that.
There was still some teething problems when they had their big graphical update in, I think it was 2014. They had the big change to what they've got now, and then they've tweaked it again and again through the years.
This is the year where they tweaked the graphics.
Okay, it was 15 they did it. Okay, cool.
And only to just throw all of this out and start over from scratch in 2018.
And you forget, despite the little bit of tension in the room, as Vic points out, like you get him, Seb and Lewis were still very good friends at this point, and they've only got closer over time.
Now, longtime supporter of the program and longtime shitster Vic pointed out that the Mercedes drivers immediately walked to opposite sides of the cool-down room. Do you think things had cooled off a little bit from 2014? I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
Now we get the podiums. We're not going straight to the interviews.
There's a reason for that we'll get to in a minute. But I do distinctly remember that I think after the Rosberg Monaco parking incident, they were never on the same page again after that. Never. I think by the end of 16, they're barely on speaking terms. And it's sad. Because it's sad because they used to be best friends. They came into this together. They were really close mates growing up, and
God, I'm so happy.
Here's the Seb celebration. Look at
that! Oh my God, the bounce up in the air! I can't see it now without immediately expecting to bounce the other way.
The gif with the reverse gif. It's great.
And now for the first stanza of the Formula One national anthem, aka the German national anthem.
Mm-hmm. Raptor points out, that celebration's still in the F1 games to this day. 10 years later.
God, remember when F1 2015 on Next Gen was as low as it got for the F1 games that were produced and published by independently owned and operated Codemasters?
Times were rough back then, man.
Take me back.
Hey, the good news is you've got 2 seasons on one disc. The bad news is you've got a season mode and that's it. That is literally it. It was a tech demo.
What was with some of these games when they jumped to Next Gen just being like so stripped down? Gran Turismo 3 from 2? I don't get it. But now the second verse of the Formula One national anthem, aka the Italian national anthem. Can you tell we both came up in the Schumacher era?
Oh yeah. I would always do the friggin' whatchamacallit, the conductor pose at the front, like Michael used to do. I still do it to this day. It's great. Good times, man.
Everybody's starting conducting in the chat.
Jack here said, I just started conducting it. Damn it, Trey. See? They knew.
I also like that they keep this verse of the anthem in, unlike some other competitions where they just cut away after the first verse.
MotoGP does that. I
Shame on it. Shame.
I hate that the FIM just cuts it off after one verse. They're the worst for that. Play the whole damn anthem. We've got time. It's ridiculous. The Italian anthem just goes right on F1. I don't care what anyone says. There you go. He does the finger point at the end. It's awesome.
Prime Minister Malaysia giving out the first place trophy.
That's career win number 40 for Sebastian Vettel. One behind the great Ayrton Senna.
And only about a little less than a dozen behind Alain Prost. And many more behind Michael Schumacher, who we all think is going to hold that record forever. Hey, I thought he was going to hold it forever, too.
You and me both. I never made a video talking about that one time. No. Shit. Anyway. Look, Lewis Hamilton is pissed he's got to collect that second place trophy.
He feels like he would have run a winning race if not for that strategy.
He's in the wrong tires, man. Shit's wild. Champagne! And Ferrari's getting a soaking.
Everybody get the most suggestive looking stills of drivers with champagne in their face.
Get the Brazzers Photoshop logo ready.
It wasn't really thought until 2019 that we thought Lewis might get there with the win record. And then, well, it went. And the championships record almost went. That's a story for another time.
Been more than a calendar year since Lewis Hamilton's last victory. That already feels weird. He still hasn't got a podium in Ferrari yet, and we're 20 rounds in. Shit. Man, things change. Also, there's a specific reason why we said, ultimately, that we wanted to go till the end of the podium interviews. And because this was at the time when they would have a personality come out onto the podium and conduct them after the podium ceremony comes to an end. They did it for a few years. I think it was like 3 or 4 seasons they did this. There's a reason I wanted to stick around, because doing these podium interviews is the late, great Eddie Jordan. And I felt like it would be fitting to acknowledge that at the end of this episode, because we miss Eddie. And it's not the same without him. I'll tell you that for free. Look at Eddie. He's just giving it large. I love it.
He's not run a Formula One team in 10 years. He has so much vitality.
He does not care. Last time we saw you crying, he won a world title. Eddie did not hold back. What a guy. Oh.
He doesn't know what to say, man.
Neither did I. I was still a mess.
You were probably a mess because you were getting up early, way too damn early to watch this.
Yeah,
I was getting up. I was staying up way too damn late.
It was a 6 a.m. start in the UK. Rough. Oof. Wow, at the time, Seb was the all-time wins leader in Malaysia, because that was his 4th victory at Sepang at the time. He's still in shock.
And by the way, he's still the most successful driver in the history of the Malaysian Grand Prix.
Oh, Lewis never overtook him. I thought he might have done. I wasn't sure how many other Malaysian races we had after 2015 was over.
Lewis only won it once.
That's weird to say for a man of 103 Grand Prix victories that he only won at Sepang once.
Schumacher and Alonso got there 3 times, Raikkonen twice.
Then again, sadly, probably Lewis's most famous Malaysian moment probably wasn't him winning. This was also the Lewis Hamilton sexy flat brim green cap era.
Flat brims were so in back then.
They really were. I may or may not have pushed the Kerbal Wellenlager soundboard button on our Discord in the middle of that Malaysia 2016 reference.
Oh, man.
Even on a podcast, I'm still being a stinker. Just that cap is way too big for Lewis. Well, it is. Lewis does not have a big head. And those caps were like, we're going to make it this size, and you're going to accept it. If you've got a big head, you're shit out of luck.
It's meant to be fitted, though.
Yeah, fitted to a watermelon, maybe. Ross Chastain would love it, but I'm not sure about an actual human being's head.
Meanwhile, Nico Rosberg, the traditional bent brim baseball cap.
Yep, classic.
This is the cultural divide.
I must admit, I am a new school, new era style flat brim guy. In fact, I used to collect the Hamilton flat brims. Some of the older ones are now worth over £100 on eBay. It is scary, the resale market on those. I still remember this is also the time when Vettel was kind of fucking with Mercedes drivers about, hey, we'll let you come sit in one of our debriefs if you like. Mercedes were that confident about how dominant they were. They were like, come sit at our debriefs. And joking about Vettel being there 3rd every week. The jokes ran out later on. Let me tell you. I remember Monza that year in the, were you low again? On the tyre pressure rule. And Rosberg wanted to kill him. I still have a few of them, Raptor, in the chat to answer your question. But they're used now. They're not so fun. If they were still in the plastic, money. Like Seb would be in the nerd he isn't in the chat, says Vic, so he would have showed up with his notebook too. Yeah, absolutely he would have. He was a nerd for shit like that. He had a notebook back then.
and Jordy just wants to chill with the fellas. Sebastian Vettel's just bouncing in his seat.
It's a genuinely great visual just seeing the late Eddie Jordan sat down with two of the greatest to ever do it. It's a great visual, I must say. I miss him.
Yeah. And he just... The transformation from last year to this year is incredible.
Yeah. This team looked dead in the water this time last year. Dead in the water. They were looking like they were maybe the fourth or the fifth best team on the grid. Like Ferrari looked like genuine midfielders at times in 2014. Second race in a brand new car, podium in Australia, win in Malaysia, and at this point Seb was only 3 points off the championship lead. You would never get that close again, but it's a nice
not for a little while at least, but yeah, he
got
needed
better.
This. Yeah, it got better. It couldn't have been. Yeah, Vettel turns around his form from last season. Ferrari turns around its form from last season.
For Seb needed that win. Ferrari needed that win. I'd argue the sport needed that win. It was a great reset, and it gave a lot of people a lot of hope that, hey, maybe we got a battle here. Now, sadly, it didn't turn out that way over the rest of the season, but it was nice that we had a genuine antagonist in the sport again after a couple of back-to-back years of either dominance in blue or dominance in silver.
Right. And then, of course, it sets the table for a couple of seasons where Vettel comes, so close. And we don't need to rehash what ultimately happened to that, but it was nice to have hope again.
I still think Seb has a real good shot at 2017 if it wasn't for Singapore.
I forgot Seb swore at the very end of this.
We've got a fight on our hands, says Eddie at the end. God bless him. He meant well. And
we all think we got a fight on our hands at this stage.
Bless. It's, as I've said many a time on Motorsport 101, it's the hope that gets you.
So, yeah, that was my first time watching that race start to finish. Ever. I think I'd only seen the highlights, and I gotta say, damn fine race.
I think that's a damn good note to close it out on. That was a great race. That had just about everything. Like I said, great strategy, mixed bags of strats coming to the forefront. They had big signs on the race. The action itself was great. The amount of genuinely outstanding overtakes outside of turn 1, inside of turn 1. Turn 4 came up a lot. Turn 5 came up more times than you think as well. Grosjean trying his outside move in Sector 3 as well was pretty neat to see, even if he didn't ultimately pull it off. But outstanding race. It's actually better than I remember it being, having watched it back for this podcast.
It's just like 2012 Brazil. You don't think it's that good, and then you watch it back and you just think, wow, it's actually better than it was already. And 2012 Brazil was great, but 2015 Malaysia, it's like, it's pretty good. And then we're like, this is really, really good.
Absolutely. Great race. Great memories. That'll just about do it for this episode of Motorsport 101. We hope you guys watched along, and we hope you enjoyed the commentary as much as we did, because that was great fun. We might do this again, maybe for Christmas. We'll see how we get along as a Christmas special to round off the year. Motorsport seasons annoyingly run quite deep nowadays, but we'll see what we can do by the end of the F1 year in December. But we'll be back next week to talk about another big old doubleheader. We got Formula One, and wow, one of the big ones, maybe the biggest of them all, the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos this weekend. Bad news, it's probably going to be dry on Sunday. The good news is it's Interlagos.
It's Interlagos. Even in the dry, it still should be fine.
Exactly. And we also have MotoGP's penultimate round of the year at Portimao. Half the field is injured, but hey, we still got to fight for third between Bez and Bagnaia. Yeah. I'm trying, honestly. I'm trying. I'm really trying. Can Alex Marquez get within 100 points of the championship lead? You'll have to tune in next week to find out. But thank you very much for watching and listening in, everybody. I've been Dre Harrison. He's been RJ O'Connell. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time. Sayonara.
Bye.